Okay, so we're back. Time for a recap. It's Monday, May 3rd, and I started the month not in the best way with a losing day. Small losing day, nothing crazy. Made a couple of mistakes here and there, and yeah, that's it. A small losing day. So let's take a look at the trades. I first started with OCGN. That was my first trade of the day. At 9:33, I wanted to go long. So OCGN was an R4 to R5 breakout trade over here with the pivot point. So I saw the first 1 minute opening, the first minute candle, and yeah, too soon to get in. So I was looking to get in possibly, off of a bounce of VWAP and 90 MA. That's what came at 9:33 over here. 90 MA and VWAP really coincided, so I thought it would be a good idea to go long. So I went long 2,000 shares, and I got stopped out at 14.25 when I didn't see the follow through that I wanted, because I really wanted to see a little bit of a hold and then a real quick move up to R5. That's what I would have liked to see. And unfortunately, the thesis was good. The trade actually worked. It just didn't work at the time where I entered. I did get stopped down, and it did a ended. It did end up going to R5. Pardon me. It did hold on the daily open over here, which is another playbook setup that I would have, and it's a shame because I did go short and I did lose like $1,000 in this trade. It's pretty a little bit of a mistake of mine. Might be, I mean, a big mistake. I went short over here at OCGN. Then later at 14:06, I wanted to see the daily open break down. I went over here at 9:36. Why did I go 9:36? Because I wanted to see the same way I saw this hold here around the 90 MA. I wanted to see a bounce. Once I saw this big red candle, I thought what was going to happen is a little bit of a resistance around VWAP and the 90 MA in a breakdown. So that is the setup that I was looking for, and it's not the best setup. Why? Because the stock is between R4 and R5. It opened between R4 and R5, which is a very very bullish setup, and I didn't really obey that. I was a little bit like blindsided by the fact that hey, it did reverse a little bit here. And the problem is also my mistake is it didn't break the daily open. It really held, so it really held on a lot of volume. So in reality, it was a big mistake. It was a big mistake because I mean not big, but it was a mistake, and also my risk management wasn't good. I really got out basically at the highs. My stop should have been around the 20s, maybe the 40s, and I got stopped out at 45, 46. So basically at my 50 cent stop loss, which is a little bit too far in this type of trade, because there was no real, since it's not a perfect playbook setup, there's no real like stop that I had there. Obviously above high of day could be one type of stop above here, but since it's not a perfect playbook setup, didn't really work. A perfect playbook setup would be if it really came down below the daily open. That's a trade that I took in mRNA. If it came below the daily open and then it tried to rebound from the bottom, and break here, and I went short, then that's a different, because I'm using the daily open as a resistance. But in this case, it was just support. I went a little bit too quick in an R4 or R5 pivot point setup, and it just didn't work. So lost $1,000 there. And in MRA, I had a bad trade and a really good one. I did rush on this a little bit. I went short 1,000 shares. So I went short at 39.18, as you can see here, 39.18. So I went short at 39.18 right over here. So I saw this setup. I saw the setup, and what was interesting about the setup is I saw this weakness, this big shooting star right where the pre-market high was, pretty much. So that gave me a real indication that hey, this thing is maybe gonna find a lot of resistance. So I saw this big shooting star kind of like far away from the 90 MA, and I'm like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity for me to go short. So I went short 1,000 shares, 39.18, and I literally got stopped out with the 50 cent rule. When I have 50 cent max stop loss, I literally got out at higher day. 39.68, as you can see here, 30. So I literally lost that. It was $500 right then and there. So it was really, really frustrating to lose that money. At that point, I was only down $500, and then I took the OCGN trade, so that put me down $1,500, without really, yeah, going. blowing a little bit my risk management rules out of the window, which I'm not proud of. But yeah, I got stopped out, and yeah, that was disappointing. I took the OCG and trying to look. It just started to work out immediately after. It had this big candle here, this follow through candle, and then it came back down. So it's a small unfortunate loss there. Then I went short VXRT, and again, not a good trade. So really, yeah, I didn't really start well this morning. VXRT was gapping down, and as soon as the market opened, I knew I didn't know obviously, but there was a good possibility of this like having a gap up. Why? Because it's at L4 over here. I kind of saw like a little bit of a double, not a double bottom, but a higher low over here, a little bit of a low, higher low. Usually, or maybe there's a possibility of a move up. But then again, like there was no real opening range breakout or breakdown here. I could go for a second minute, for a second minute opening range breakout over here. I mean, level two was really good. Was really strong in those first few minutes, but I just wasn't comfortable, and I tried to go pretty much for the same setup as OCGN. I wanted to go for a daily open hold over here, and I went short 2,000 shares at 10:10, 10:08. So right around here, and I stopped out 998. So basically right below, not right below, but almost a cent above the daily open because I just didn't see the weak. I just didn't see the strength there. It did end up coming down. So why was the reason why did OCGN work in VXRT? Well, I guess the VXRT was gapping down and OCGN was gapping up. So maybe that could be the biggest reason why this setup did work here and it didn't work in VXRT. Also, like I said, when a stock opens between R4 and R5, it's very bullish. It's a very, very good chance that the stock is going to come up. So that's what happened. So I was already down like $1,700, super frustrated. And then I saw MARA play out, and there was a little bit of a discrepancy. So I took MARA, I went short 2,000 shares, which was risky, but I went short 2,000 shares at 939. So right over here. I really saw discrepancy. So yeah, 39.60 something. So around in this candle. So what I did see is that in Riot was already gapping down, and the 5 minute chart looked really, really, really weak. So 939, as you can see, it's right over here. So it's about to break down. On the other hand, MARA, we're still kind of far away from. I mean, I didn't get too far away from the daily open, like 50, 60 cents, but it was significantly, it wasn't as weak. So I went 2,000 shares, and I'm very happy because I did like respect. I could have done a little bit better with my exits, but I did respect pretty much my target. So my first target was L2. I covered 1,000 shares at 37.82, and then my second was 37.54. So around L2 and L3. So I should have done better. My target should have been L1, sorry R1, or at least the daily open, because when there's a rejection around R4, like there was here, okay, it did get past R4, but there was a rejection. There's also this playbook setup that if it opens between R3 and R4, R4 has the possibility of being a level of rejection. So when that happens, often what we'll see is at least it's going to reach R1. And if not the daily open, and this thing even went more down, it went all the way to L3. So just imagine if I would have just followed the whole trade, it would have been a really, really good trade. The fact of the matter is that I should have left it a little bit more time. I should have gave it at least R1, because what that means is that it's gonna get to all the way up. It's gonna get down to the lowest point of the R's, which is strength, and then if it holds, it's gonna come back up, and if not, it's gonna really fail, and maybe linger around like it did here. So this is a setup that I'm gonna, put into my playbook again, and yeah, really look at, right? So yeah, I mean, the really good trade. I was down 1,700, and I got myself up $98, and then I took a couple of trades in mRNA. Again, I had I did miss this trade. It's kind of like VXRT, where it's different because VXRT did have like a full green candle. This was a little bit of an indecision candle in the first minute, but it was right between R4 and R5. And again, level of strength. I missed this trade. I was gonna take it, but I was a little bit hesitant. I shouldn't have been hesitant because it was a very, very, very strong setup when the stock opens between these two parameters. honestly speaking, it's something that I have to really almost all the time now. Like this is a setup that I have to always be taking. 1 minute opening range breakouts over here, or yeah, maybe even yeah. I mean, it's a setup that I have to be taking constantly. Because it is a really really good setup. It's a setup that I have to load up in. It's a setup that I really really have to load up in because it's a really really good one. So same thing. I mean, not same thing, but I went short for the first time in. Okay, so I went long mRNA at 951. Again, I have to ditch this setup because I don't know, man. This doesn't work that well many times. Went long 500 shares for a daily open bounce. Got stopped out. And then I went short right away because if it's not going to hold, it's going to come down. I went short and I did cover a little bit. I mean, I did cover, not much. Then I went short one more time. So okay, I went short and I covered, and then what I was trying to do is I was trying to get this setup out my daily open in R4 and R4. I wanted to see as a level of resistance, and I wanted to go short at the daily open in R4, which was two powerful levels, and maybe get back to R3. So I went short one time, I covered, I didn't really like it, and then I went short one more time, I added, and then I covered. I got stopped out a little bit too far away. My stop was I got filled, not the best. Well, this one I did get filled okay, but this one a little bit too. I mean, I don't know. I wanted to get stopped out right above 184, or right above R4, and I got stopped out around here, which was 500, 700 shares. I wanted to lose like $200. I lost like 500, with the slippage because it did really spike up. And at this time, I did had to go. I had a medical appointment. I couldn't stay any longer, so I just closed the day at like 9, at 10:01, basically. So I mean, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I guess I did get stopped out exactly where I wanted to. Yeah, so that's it. One of my conclusions for the day. Well, a little bit disappointed. I'm a little bit disappointed in these trades. I did rush. I made a couple of mistakes in VXRT and mRNA. I took that setup over here for the daily open hold, and it just didn't really work out. Maybe I should have been a little bit more patient and see if there was a little bit of a rebound in mRNA. That's what I was looking for, and it did happen. But at this time, I just had to leave. There was no more time for me. So I guess this one is not too bad, and the short over here. I mean, I'm not too upset because of that. Maybe I could have gone long here. That wouldn't have been a good setup if I would have had time. MARA is just a little bit freakish. I got stopped out at the last cent. That's gonna happen. And in a better opportunity, I mean, in a different opportunity, different time, I just don't get stopped out, and I have a really, really clean trade. And then OCGN, and again, a little bit of a mistake here because, um, yeah, it didn't break the daily open. It's between R4 and R5, kind of like similar to mRNA. Like it doesn't make sense for me to go short a stock that's between R4 and R5. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed because of that. The money, $500, is recoverable, not a big deal. But the fact that I did lose, I did go again past my limit. I did get all the way down to $750 loss. Sorry, to $1,500 loss. That's a double my daily stop loss. It's a little bit disappointing again. I did have a really, really good trade again in MRA. Could have done better. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow how it goes. I'm definitely not in my best streak. But if I have more days like today, even though I lost money, I am gonna be okay. So especially if I have good trades like MARA. It could have been all different. If I would have had this trade, I would have ended up the day. Obviously I did lose money. Well, no, because I took MARA and then I took OCGN. But I would have ended up the day up, $1,500, $2,000. So it's a game of inches sometimes. I mean, many times, and today is one of those days where it was a game of inches, and I wasn't able to. The inches went on my side today. So it is what it is. I'm gonna keep working on playbook setups today, except OCGN, which wasn't the perfect setup. I was looking for a daily open breakdown, but again, between R4 and R5, it just doesn't make sense. It is a good setup. I mean, I liked it also because look over here, it kind of like rejected the daily open, the pre-market highs. So that is a good positive setup. The problem is like it just didn't break. It didn't break. So maybe a good entry would have been here, and then see if it breaks. And then my stop loss was a little bit too far. But I've stopped out of 14.55. My stop loss, which at max should have been 40. At max. So you want to know it's 300 bucks here. It's a little bit it's a little bit far though. I mean, 300 bucks here, 200 bucks there. It does it does count at the end of the day. So I also saw this pullback on the 5 minute that pretty much looked good. But again, I had to leave pretty much. Okay, so that looked good. Came back to 90 MA VWAP and it held. Got all the way up to R5, even a little bit more. Broke out again a little bit. So there's things to work on. Okay, but yeah, that's my recap. I hope you had a better day, and yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye.